All right, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. Um, we actually have two more students here, but they're behind the camera, so they're also participating. So let me just briefly tell you what's going to happen next, where we stand now, what's going to happen next, and then if you have any questions or comments or observations or maybe suggestions, we will be able to answer or discuss those as well. So first of all, congratulations to all the students who have passed all the four tests. Honestly, I was a little, not sure how it would go. I knew that Advey would pass. That I knew once I saw him, but I'm not sure about, not that I didn't trust others, but I normally work with MBA students, with university students, and those are much older people. So they are mature, they are prepared, they are pre-selected by the universities. So we know that those people are capable. Children, we didn't know. Same thing with professionals, by the way. We have some people who are older in their 20s, 30s, but they're not students. And again, so, hard to say if they're going to pass or not. So they don't have to do it because it's part of their course. They do it mainly for fun or for experience. And so we didn't know how, what kind of motivation they will have, how they will do. And so the very good news is that many, in fact, most of you did well. So we had a total of about 150 applications, plus or minus. I can't remember the exact number, maybe closer to 200. There were some people who dropped out, simply didn't take any test. So I assume they applied, they thought it would be a good idea, but then they realized how much time it will take and they just decided not to participate. And then we had a few people who started doing the tests, did well on one, perhaps, or two, and then at some point either missed a test or did poorly on the test. We decided not to include them. So the idea is that if we start including people or putting people on team who perhaps are not fully prepared, and by that I mean both may not be skilled enough, but also may not be motivated enough. If we put people like this on the teams, nobody will benefit. So they probably will not do well, and then the rest of the team will suffer. So therefore, we selected the best of the best. And the good news is that we have enough to form several teams. And we will have teams of different ages. There will be a couple teams where kids are 9, 10, 11. I believe it's like 9, 10. And then there are a few teams where the kids are 11, 12. And then we have quite a few teams where the kids are like 13, 14. And we even have several teams that are a little older. Moreover, we have a few students who are in their like 17 years old, perhaps even 18, I believe we have one, and then several who are 16 years old. And those did some of them did so well, had such good results that I'm even taking the risk, and I think I'm going to put them on teams with university students. They will be about a year, maybe a year and a half younger, so we will put them with the youngest university students. And so there is some risk about them being not in a university yet, but given their excellent performance, I think it would be just fine. Not only did they show that that they can answer all those exam questions well, the biggest benefit that I see is the fact that they have been working actively for 4 weeks. That tells me that they can sustain a level of performance for an extended period of time. And honestly, I don't even have that information about university students. They don't have to take the 4 weeks of theory training. We just get their names, they read some materials, take one test, and that's it. So those older teenagers who did extremely well, some of them will even work in university teams. Now, we have a few people who are, let's say, right in between. So people who have taken all of the tests or most of the tests and did well on some, but perhaps not so well on others. So we know they tried, but they were not as good or not good enough to the point where I can say, yes, they're definitely ready. I'm comfortable putting them on an international team. And so for those people, if they have a teacher, so we have a few students from Ukraine that are part of a class and they have a teacher, and in fact 2 teachers, I've talked to them, and then we have a similar situation with Russia. So what we decided to do with those students is instead of not letting them participate as my selection committee has recommended, I thought I would give them a chance to participate, but as a co-located team. So they will work on the same deadlines, they will have the same tasks, same clients, same webinars, same instructions, same surveys every week, but they will be in teams of about 5 where each person is from the same country. So this way, if they're not fully ready, perhaps because of maybe lower English skills or maybe some other reasons, they will not have to deal with all that, complexity of the international collaboration. So they will still have all the full component of the business, but they will have a slightly easier assignment because they will not have to deal with the different languages, time zones, and they will probably know the team members already because they're from the same school. So that way it will be easier for them. And so what we will do with them is we will allow them to participate in those co-located teams now, but they will be allowed to participate again in the summer or the fall semester now in international teams. So hopefully that, the next few months will be a good training for them. And then the next time will be fully prepared and can be, placed in an international team. So that's when it comes to the team, students who who passed the test and the team forming. For those of you then who are now ready to be placed on teams, here is what happens next. On Monday, we will place you on teams. So we will form teams. We will see who's available at that time, and we will form teams. We will probably keep teams smaller. So we've done research, and our data shows that a smaller team usually performs somewhat better. With university students, we usually go with 5, 6, sometimes 7 team members per team. But with the pre-college teams, so with those of you who are in the academy program, I think we will go with teams sized at about 4 per team. So this way it will be perhaps fewer countries per team. You will still have several countries per team, but at the same time, it will be a little bit easier for you to communicate. The team will be smaller. The coordination will be a little easier. You will get to know each other better. So based on our research, it seems like it would be more beneficial for you to be in a smaller team. So we will go with 4 people per team. Maybe some of them will be 5, but I think it will be even that will be a little too much. And so expect about 4 people per team. And so on Monday, you will each receive an email, and that email will contain the names of your team members. So it will say, John Smith, the United States, email address, Advay Jain, the United Kingdom, email address, Mykola Sidorenko, Ukraine, email address, and then, Alex Mbaka, Ghana, email address. And so your first task will be to contact each other as soon as possible and basically introduce each other and start working together. Most teams start by email, and they would exchange a few emails just to get to know each other. But then in most cases, they think about or they decide to use other communication media. So they can create, for example, a closed group in Facebook, or they can agree on regular Skype meetings, or they can decide to create a group in, for example, Slack or Trello. They give you a free account with some limited abilities, but it's sort of similar to Skype, or perhaps, maybe even use something like Zoom or something of that kind. Totally your choice. So if you decide to stick with email and communicate only on email, that's fine. I encourage you to try other things and try at least have one, maybe a few meetings in Skype in the first weeks so you can meet each other. Then basically the first week will be all about meeting each other. And then next week, it will be still largely meeting each other. So you will still have to only select a company that you will be working on. And you will only have to write basically what we call a team charter. You will have to discuss with your team members who does what, how you do it, and then basically write like a little, let's call it a contract. So it will be like half a page that will say something like, our goal is to win the competition, or at the very least, write a good proposal for the client company. We have decided that Advay, for example, will be doing most of the writing, but then John will do most of the research. But then, for example, Sarah will focus on copy editing, and then, Marisa will be doing most of the coordination and making sure that we don't miss any deadlines. Or you can say, we decided that, for example, Advay will be working primarily on the market analysis section, John will work primarily on the marketing section, and Sarah will focus more on the, let's say, for example, management section of the report. And then, Marisa will do most of the coordination to make sure that everybody's done on time. So something like that. So whatever you want to decide. You may even have in that document, you can even put things like, for example, if somebody will not participate actively, we will exclude that person from the team, or we will try to help that person work together to resolve the differences. So whatever you think is important for you as a team to understand and agree upon, that's what you put in that document. Now, on Monday, so 2 days from now, we will have webinars with our client companies. And so here there is a very important differentiation. So those of you who are participating in the X-Culture Academy track, so basically those of you who are 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you will have 2 clients to choose from. One of them is Finnish Schools International. It is a private school network, and so they have schools that use the Finnish education system, the one that everybody loves to love these days. So they use more games, more experiential activities, a lot of foreign languages, kind of teamwork. So they try to build it in a way that is a little bit more interesting to the kids and more effective when it comes to the results. But they are not sure even if this method is the best method. Maybe there is a better way to do a school, to basically build a school. And so what they seek from you is they would like you to design a school of your dreams. So imagine that you have all the resources in the world, or at least a lot of resources, and they made you the school principal. And they say, design the school the way you'd like. So a school that you would want to go to or send your children to. And so you will have to literally design the best ever school you can think of. The only important thing is that it cannot be a school that costs too much and all the children do there is just play video games all day. It has to be a school that is still effective, a school that prepares children for life. So basically teaches them well. And at the same time, again, resources are not unlimited. So there is always a cost. So the school must be done with the resources that can be gathered from basically tuition payments from parents. So it cannot cost billions and billions of dollars. The price still has to be reasonable. So it still has to be sustainable and has to be affordable, but at the same time to be interesting and effective. And so they are open to any ideas you are able to propose. And they even promised that if you come up with good ideas, they can actually implement them. So you can literally have a school that will do things, or maybe will be built in a way that you can say, that was my idea. That thing on the wall they have, that, I came up with that idea. Or do you know how they do the test? They have this very strange method. I invented it. I recommended that, and they took it. So that's how it will work with this Finnish School International. And then the other company is InnoSpark. They make educational toys. So they make toys that are kind of big educational toys for like daycares or for schools. And so they will ask you for help with maybe modifying their tools or upgrading their tools, or coming up with new features for their existing tools. I mean, not tools, toys, or inventing new toys for them that they can make. And then obviously, how do you sell them? So how do you reach the potential customers? How do you explain to them what we are selling? How do you convince them to buy InnoSpark toys? And basically, the whole business component, marketing and stuff like that. So toys or school. For the students, the older ones who did very well and who will be in the university track, they will have 8 different challenges. They will have the same challenges that the university students have, and those are slightly different. So we have a total of 8 companies, and they're a little bit more, what's the word? I don't want to say boring. But those are more traditional companies. One of them makes clothing, another one makes food, one of them provides IT services. So they're more kind of serious traditional companies that are perhaps not as much fun as toys or schools, but at the same time, it's a real business. And so they will have to choose with their team one of those companies, and then the rest is basically the same. They will have the same deadlines, they will be on the same schedule, and everything will be the same as with you guys. So the only other thing that I will say is that every Wednesday, you will receive an email with a link to your weekly progress survey. And you will have until the end of the day on Sunday. So you will have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you will have about 4 or 5 days to complete that progress survey. It's not very long, it's not very bad. So we will ask you, one, to report your progress with the task. Like, for example, if this week you have to write the team charter, we will ask you for a copy of that. So we will say, could you submit what you have agreed on, as a copy of the document? Doesn't have to be perfect, but you need to show us that you've done something. If next week the question is, what is the best market for your product? Like, for example, where would you build the school of your dream? Or where would you sell the toys? Or whatever the other question is, you will have to report, this is the country. For example, we want to do it in Germany, or maybe in Canada, or maybe in Japan, and so on each week. So the first component will be, you show us how far along you are with your task, so what your team has done so far. Then there will be a component where we will ask you about your team and your experience. So we will ask you, how are you doing? Is everyone working? Have you had any conflicts? Is everyone communicating? So basically tell us how the things are going in your team. And then there will be peer evaluations. So you will have to evaluate each team member, if they're making a contribution, if they are helping with team coordination, if they're friendly, if they're collegial. And then finally, there may be a few questions also research related. Like, for example, we will measure your cultural intelligence. And then in the end, we will give you your cultural intelligence report. We will measure your emotional intelligence. We will measure your work style. And in the end, you will get a nice report summary that will tell you how you are similar or different from other kids in the world, as well as, and that's most important, how you can improve your cultural intelligence, emotional intelligence, how you can work better given your work style. So this way you will be able to, use that information to develop your professional skills further. So each of those weekly progress surveys shouldn't take more than 15 minutes or so. So you just answer a few questions. But the reason we need them is because first we need to know that you're doing well. And if not, we will help you. So that's how we identify if there is a team that needs help, so we can provide that help. Likewise, maybe there will be some conflicts. I mean, I don't think so, but you come from all around the world, you have different cultures, you have a lot of people. It is possible that maybe some people will have some sort of a misunderstanding. Again, if that happens, we will help. So yeah, that's the whole purpose. And so it will be that same cycle every week. So we will have a survey every Sunday. You will get the link a few days before that. You will submit it sometime during the weekend or earlier if you want. And on Monday you will receive, or on Tuesday, you will receive your performance review. So when you will get the link, that email will also tell you how you're doing, compared to other teams, compared to other kids. So this way you know where you stand, and that will be pretty much it. The only other thing that we would like to do with the X-Culture Academy, and we don't do it with the university students, we probably will have regular webinars like this one, maybe for a few minutes, but probably like once a week. And they will not be required. So if you don't want to attend them, or if you cannot attend them, that's not a problem. But if you have questions, we will have those short meetings so that we can explain to you one more time what needs to be done next week, maybe answer your questions, maybe give you some updates. And so this way, hopefully, you will be more informed. Since it's the first time we work with the younger participants, we just want to make sure that everything goes well, you're fully informed. And with university students, we know it's not necessary. With you, just to be sure, we will have that option for you guys. I think this is all I wanted to say this time. So if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead. Anyone? Advay, how unusual. Please go ahead.
Okay, so as we get this task on like our whatever project we have, so suppose I take some resource from Wikipedia or something, like a picture. So if I don't specify their name, so that's plagiarizing. But if I turn my work in with the credits, like if I've taken some part of it, that was a helpful one. So if I put it in the credits thing, does that count as plagiarism?
You're asking a very good question. How old are you again?
12.
12, huh? People at 12 shouldn't think about things like that, plagiarism and all that stuff. But yes, it's a very, very important question. So can you tell me one more time what plagiarism is? Can you give me the definition before I answer your question?
It's copying someone else's work and claiming credit for yourself.
Perfect. That is a perfect definition. So basically stealing somebody's intellectual property and saying that it was yours, or not acknowledging them explicitly and kind of pretending that you wrote it. So yes, if you, it is perfectly fine to use or quote work of others, or perhaps reference numbers that, from research of others, or perhaps, mention somebody's work. Nothing wrong with that. And in fact, you are even encouraged to support your answers, support your work with references to work of others. When you say 2 + 2 is 4, that's one thing. But when you say the scientist did a study and proved that 2 + 2 is 4, and you cite the study, it sounds more credible. So it's not a problem if you cite it, if you properly reference work of others. And in fact, as I said, it is expected that you will make references to work of others. Like, for example, maybe databases, if you say the country's GDP is such and such, you have to provide the reference. So you will say, okay, according to the World Bank research, the country's GDP is such and such, and you would have a reference to the World Bank's website where this number can be verified. If you take some work from Wikipedia, I wouldn't recommend that, and here is why. Wikipedia is a secondary source, meaning that Wikipedia does not provide their own original content. They only discuss, normally in most of the cases, they discuss other primary work. So Wikipedia is a wonderful source. I love it so much. I even donated money to them several times because I believe it's probably the best resource the humanity has ever had. But Wikipedia is excellent for finding links to useful information. So as a source itself, it's a little, it's not that it's not credible. As I said, Wikipedia doesn't do their own research. Wikipedia doesn't create their own works of art or their own works of literature. They only describe what's happening. So the way I recommend that you use Wikipedia is your first kind of wave of research. Let's say you would like to know something about the economy of, let's say, Germany. So you can write the Wikipedia article to familiarize yourself with the economy of Germany, but every time they will say something about Germany, they will have a link to the original source. And so what you need to do then, go to that original source. First of all, make sure that Wikipedia told you the truth. If they say that the World Bank says that the GDP per capita in Germany, for example, is $43,000, and they provide a reference, you should click on that reference. You should go to the original website, make sure that that's the number that website provides. And then if it is so, then cite the original website, for example, the World Bank or the original report. So it will be like an electronic report, not a web address. So in this case, Wikipedia will help you find what you need. But then you will go there, find it, make sure that it works, and then cite those original sources. I would say, so when we check for plagiarism, the rule of thumb is that if about 10% of your document is kind of quotes of work of others, it is perfectly fine. So you can maybe quote some scientists, you can perhaps maybe provide an extract from somebody's research, no problem there, as long as you cite it. But if it's more like 15 to 20% of your document, that's when we become a little uncomfortable. That's a little too much. And then if it's like 25, 30%, that is a problem. Even if you cite everything, if like 20, 30, 40% of your document is basically copied and pasted text, even though you diligently cite the sources and tell whose work you copied, at that time it's a little too much. So it is perfectly fine to support your work with references and quotes from work of others. It is important to cite them properly, but again, don't take it too much and too far, because as I said, it still has to be primarily your original work. So maybe with this, as I said, some quotes from work of others. Long answer to your question, Advay, but I hope that helps. Did it answer it? Yeah, okay, yeah. We will work some more on that. We will have some training additionally on plagiarism, so we will try to help you more with that towards the end of the project when you actually will be writing the report, because it will be an issue that many kids are not familiar with, yet it's extremely important. In fact, if any of you will submit work where it's that contains plagiarism, copied and pasted text without references, or like half of the document is copy and paste, we will disqualify you from the competition. So we'll definitely, even if it will be good ideas, but if it's plagiarized, no credit for that. So sorry, please be careful with that. So thank you for that important question, Advay. Any other questions?
I think he can say this by his own words, not just copy and paste.
That one is a tricky one. So that was from Alita, right? I believe. So that is a very, very, kind of gray area. So what if you find somebody's work and you don't copy and paste word to word, but you kind of say it in your own words.
Yeah.
Here, again, the focus or the criterion that we use to evaluate whether or not it's plagiarism is basically the idea. So, for example, if somebody invented a method, to pour coffee in a cup, right, and described it in some words, but you took that idea and said it's my idea, but described it in slightly different language, it is still plagiarism because you still steal the idea. At the same time, if somebody provided a definition of something and perhaps you reworded it and made it better and made it different, even then, I think you should say it was developed based on the definition by John Smith or whoever the original author is, and then basically cited that original work, and then you said, I made modifications, and here is my version. So in that case, it would be fine. But honestly, between us, I do not see any reason why anyone would not provide credit for the work of others. Like if you used somebody's work, if you, basically use it in your work. So why not cite it? I mean, why pretend that it's yours? Nobody's going to penalize you for admitting that, yes, I actually saw that interesting idea in, maybe a strategic document by this other company that makes toys. And I thought it was a good idea. So we want to propose the same idea to Innospar. Why not say where it came from? The only time when I can see why people would paraphrase is when they don't want to write anything. They find a similar paper that somebody already wrote, and they just copy and paste the whole paper, pages and pages, but they're just afraid that so basically they're lazy. And it's not that they're using work of others. They just want to take work of others and literally just copy and paste so they don't have to write it at all on their own. But then they're afraid that they will be caught, and so they change the words so that the software that we use to detect plagiarism cannot catch you. But in that case, it's just pure stealing, and I don't think this will not happen in our project because first of all, we never had those two challenges that the kids will be working on. So there is impossible to find papers that you can literally copy and paste. I mean, like nobody wrote them before. And second, I cannot imagine that our kids will be copying pages just because they don't want to write it on their own. I mean, I'm sure they will. In fact, the challenge you guys will have is that we'll limit the length of your paper. We say it shouldn't be more than 25 pages. And the problem you will have is that you will have much more, because you will find so much information, you will have so many ideas, you will add some pictures, you will add some descriptions, that it will be a challenge to keep it short. And we require that you keep it short because the CEOs of the companies that will be reading your work, they don't have time to read hundreds of pages. They want to see the ideas neatly summarized on a few pages. So I cannot imagine that you will be copying work of others to save time. You may be referencing or using work of others because they have interesting ideas. In that case, just cite them, no problem. But I cannot imagine that you will be copying just because you don't want to write your own work. So, and if you will, that will be a problem.
Okay, that was a terrifying question. Let's take something easier. About exact task each week. So you tell us what to do exactly this week. Now we choose the country, which country to go.
Right.
Next week we another. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Let me actually, so since we're here and we will have the webinars on Monday, but let me, so since we already have the challenges, let me show you briefly what they look like. They're already prepared and approved by the companies. Let me share my screen. And so this way you will see what I'm talking about. And again, it's much easier than it may look like. So you should see my screen now, right? Do you see the document, Word document on my screen? Hello, can you see my Word document?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So this is Finnish Schools International. So I will put the dates here, and in fact, I already sent you, did I send you? I think I did, the dates for, so there will be 2 webinars on Monday. And if I haven't sent you the email, I will do it right away. I actually think that I agreed on the time with the companies, but haven't confirmed with you. So, but yes, anyway, there will be 2 webinars. There will be one on Monday, and there will be one on, I believe, April, like a month later. And so the first webinar will, you will meet the owner of the company, the manager of the company, and he will talk about the company, what they do, how they operate, and stuff like that. You will also have all these links to the resources, websites, and stuff like that. So we already have a lot of information here. And so they will ask you to do 3 things. One, design the dream school. So basically you will have to analyze, first of all, how the Finnish system works, then how your own schools operate, So you will have, let's say, 4 or 5 team members. You will all try to discuss in your team how your schools are designed. You know, do you have exams? Do you have homework? How it works? And then once you know how your school operates, and you will hear from the presentation, by the way, they will talk about the, you know, the system that works in Finland, but you can do some more research. So once you know what the different systems are, you will have as a team to design a nice new, you know, basically best school of, you know, in the world. And so in the first report section, you will have to describe what your ideas are, what that school might look like. Then we move more to the market section, and that's where, so it will be a week later, and so that's where you will be talking about, you know, basically where the school should be built. And so here the big question is, you know, since schools, especially private schools, are not free, somebody has to pay for it. And you will have to do analysis and find a country where you think on the one hand there will be a need for school like this. Maybe they don't have good schools of their own and parents are willing to send kids to this better school. Or maybe they have schools, but maybe they will like this one more. And maybe either the government is willing to invest money in a school like this, or maybe the parents will be willing to pay. And so obviously you will be looking for a country where there is a demand for an idea like this, and at the same time there is a way to pay for it. So as I said, either from the government or from the parents. So for example, let's say you propose a school where children do nothing but play video games all day. And you say that's going to be the best school ever, they will just play video games. And then you say we're going to create the school or open the school, for example, I don't know, let's say for example in China. Chances are it will not go well there, because Chinese society is more traditional and they believe in calligraphy and they believe in, you know, drills and, you know, kind of hard work. So something's telling me the parents in China will not like the idea of, you know, children just playing video games all day. But then maybe if your school is all about experiential learning, all about, you know, doing some fun things together, projects, and you decide to open that school, let's say in the United States, I do believe there will be a big demand for that school here, because the American schools are still a little kind of backwards, a little too traditional, and so there is a demand for something more. The parents are able to pay here. There are governmental programs where the government pays for those schools. They call them charter schools. So they basically create kind of like a private school, but the government pays for it. So that would be a good area to go. And in the United States, by the way, private schools are very popular. So paying for school is common. So from that perspective, that may be a good country. And so you will describe that country. You will explain why you think it's the best location for the school, either because there is a great demand, or there is not much competition, or maybe culturally it will be a good fit, or maybe people just have the money to pay for it, or maybe there are some governmental programs. And so, and then you will have to describe this country. You will talk about, you know, the culture and traditions of the country, maybe a little bit about the economy, maybe a little bit about the politics. So basically you will have to explain to the manager of the company what they need to know about that country to be successful there. So it can be a country that maybe one of the team members is in, or it can be a whole different country, but you will have to teach them, educate them about that country. You will tell them, by the way, when you will be doing business in China or Japan or the United States or the United Kingdom, this is what you need to know about this country. This is the system they have, this is the culture they have, this is maybe, I don't know, languages they speak, and stuff like that. Then next section, the last one, will be marketing. So, okay, you designed the school, it's the best school in the world. You decided, or you now did your research and you know where it will be in a great demand. But you still have to inform the parents basically that this option is available and that they can send their kids to this school. You basically have to convince them to send the kids to this school, because maybe they don't know, or maybe they know but they're not sure. So how would you advertise it? And that's where you will design your marketing campaign. You can say, maybe we will put some ads on TV, or maybe we'll put big billboards with information about the schools, or maybe we will advertise on Facebook, or maybe we will have some sort of like go to some sort of a, you know, school fair, and we will present ourselves, you know, we'll have like a booth and we will hand out some documents or some flyers. Or maybe something else. Maybe you'll come up with something very creative, maybe some sort of like a publicity stunt that everybody will be talking about. And so in a matter of a few days, everybody will know about your school. We will even ask you to design one of those ads. Like if you say, okay, you should advertise on TV and put an ad on TV. We will ask you, so what would that ad look like? So you will describe, you know, the script, or maybe even make a little video. If somebody is good, you know, with a camera and can actually make a little promo video, you can even try that. And so maybe the company will like it and maybe we'll use it, or maybe we'll commission, you know, professionals to make something similar. Or if you say you should advertise through Facebook, maybe go to parent groups or, you know, put ads again, what would you say? What picture would you put? Or maybe what video would you put? Whom would you target? So you basically will try to pretend to be a marketer, and your job will be to, to sell this idea. And then in this report, you will have a little bit about the structure and formatting guidelines, how many pages and how it works and stuff like that. And then you have the schedule. And so here we will have the theory training, and that's pretty much done now. And then practical training starts on March the 5th, and that's when we will form the teams. And then so you will have 2 deadlines the first week, but then 1 on Sunday each next week. The reason we put 2 deadlines in the first week, because we would like you, the kids, to start communicating right away. And so the first very short, like it will take only 5 minutes survey, but it will be due on Thursday. So on Monday, you get your team names. And then on Thursday, you will have to tell us whom you've been able to communicate with. So if somebody does not respond within those 3-4 days, that is a problem, and we may have to replace that person or do something about it. So this time you will only tell us, yes, we have 5 people. I've heard from all of them. Everything's good. Then by Sunday, you will have another quick survey, and here the goal is just to meet your team members. So again, nothing special. We will have like a little quiz where we will ask some questions about your team members. Like, for example, there will be a question, so you will see the list of all the team members, and then the questions will be, which of these team members, for example, have a pet at home, like a dog or a cat? Or, for example, what are their hobbies? Or maybe how many languages they speak? Or how many countries they've been to. And so this will not be graded. So if you don't know, that's okay. You will not get a low grade. But the reason we provide those questions and ask you to complete that survey is kind of prompt you to get to know each other. So we hope that that week you will spend, meeting each other. So at least you will know, what locations the people are at. As I said, what do they like? Do they have maybe brothers, sisters, maybe cats, dogs? Have they, been to other places? We want you to meet each other. Then you will have 1 whole more week when you don't really do much business. All you have to do for that second week is to select the company. So you will say, okay, we're going to work on the toy company, or we want to work on the private schools. And then, as I said, you will continue talking to each other as a team, and you will write the team charter. Again, it will not be evaluated. It can be only a few lines of text. It can be a whole page. But that's where you basically put on paper the rules that you as a team agreed upon. So you kind of discuss who does what happens if somebody is not participating, or maybe got sick, or things happen. So this is for you to just discuss, so you know what to expect from a team. We've done research, by the way, where we would not have this task, where teams start working on the business assignment right away. And then we had semesters when we had the team charter. Performance is much, much better when we do have team charter. It seems like we waste a whole week on this, but it definitely pays off. Teams do much better in the end. They write better reports. They like each other more. There is more satisfaction. There is less conflict. So definitely worthwhile spending that extra time. So basically, first 2 weeks, you just meet each other and you decide how you work together, and you select the company. And then it gets a little bit busier. So the week after that, you will have to provide your initial ideas individually to each of the questions. So you will still work as a team, but in that week we will want a submission from each one of you, and you will say, okay, for now, for a few weeks, we've been thinking and brainstorming and discussing what we want to do. And my personal idea is that I think that's the best school ever, that's the best market, and this is how I would market it. And you just submit that again. It will not be evaluated for grades. You can still change those ideas as much as you want, but we want you to think about each question individually before you start deciding as a team. And the reason we do this is this. Again, we've done a lot of studies on that. And so when we don't require each person to think about it individually, what many teams do, and that's a big mistake, they divide the workload by the question, and they say, okay, Advay, you will work on the school design. John, you will work, or Alita, you will work on marketing. Nasra, you will work on, for example, the management. And then you just hope that each one of them will write the whole report section. And all you have to do at the end, you will just copy and paste them into one document and submit it as a document. And first, that will never happen. Somebody will not do a good job, and you will not know about it until the last day if you use that method. Second, the whole value of the team is that you communicate, you exchange ideas, you maybe even argue sometimes. You provide feedback on each other's work. Maybe, I don't know, Yaroslavna says that I think the best school should look like this. And then Evgeny says, no, the best school should look like this. And you communicate, and you discuss it. And then in the end you say, you know what, yeah, maybe that is the best idea. So we want you to discuss it. And so for that reason, we would like you to first have your own proposals. So when you have that discussion, you have something to bring to the table. You don't just listen to one of the team members and you say, okay, whatever you say is good. No, we want you to also participate in that discussion. Then the next 3 weeks, that's when you will have to work on each report section as a team. So you will be submitting only one coherent kind of draft of the document. It does not have to be finished. It can be only half a page at that time. But that's, by week 6, we would like to see your draft of the dream school design. So you will have like 6 weeks to design it. And so by that time, we want to see kind of at least some basics, things that you think you will be, putting in the final document. You can still change that. I mean, if in week 7 you decide to make the change, to the school design, perfectly fine. But by week 6, we would like to see something on the paper. We don't want you to wait until the last day to actually start writing because, that last day will come very soon. So by week 6, we would like to see something on the paper. Then next week, market, same thing. So by that week, we would like you to know what market you're going to, and we would like you to at least have some sort of research on that market done. And so that's when you will submit a draft. Again, we will not evaluate those intermediate drafts. It will not have an effect on whether or not you win the competition, but we will read them. We will provide feedback to you. We will, if you write a lot and it's good, we will say, great, you are on the track to finish the project on time. If you submit only like 2 lines and it doesn't make sense, we will say you might want to speed it up a little bit because it's too little at this time. You need to have more. And then if you provide some ideas, we will comment on them and say, okay, this is wonderful. Please keep working on this. This maybe you didn't explain enough. Maybe you should put a little bit more in the final report. So things like that. And then the same thing with marketing. Then finally, in week 9, you will be asked to submit a complete draft. And you will submit the draft to turn it in. So that's the software that checks your submission for plagiarism. You will see that plagiarism report. So meaning that it will take like 4 hours to test millions and millions of websites and to make sure that whatever you submitted is not copied and pasted. And if anything is submitted, copied and pasted, it will literally highlight it and it will show you where it's been copied and pasted from. And so if it happens that you have a team member who maybe was responsible for writing this section and literally copied and pasted some pages, the rest of the team will know. And you will have 1 more week left to make changes if needed. So if it turns out that there is something plagiarized, the program will tell you, and you will have a chance, you will have 1 week to fix that problem. So that by the next week, so the last 10th survey, I think it will actually be week 8 because we had 2 in the first, week. So by week 8 or the 10th survey, that's when you will submit the final report. That will be the final version. So you will not be able to make changes after that point. So until that point, you can change it as many times as you want. But once you submit the final report, that is done. And then what will happen is we will have about 10 professors from different universities in the world who will read your work. And then obviously the companies will read your work. And then we will meet together and we will discuss your work and then decide which one is the best. And that team will be the winner. And then obviously provide feedback to everybody else. And there will be only one more thing left at the end. You will only have to submit a post-project survey. So that one will be done right after you submit the final report. In that one, we will ask about your experience, how it went for you, what did you like, what you didn't like. Maybe even if you have some suggestions for how to do it better next semester, that would be very, very much appreciated because we will do it again. And so you are the first group, younger group. So if you have any suggestions for how to design X-Culture better, we will ask about that in the final survey. And that's pretty much it. And then it will take us probably about 2 weeks to evaluate your reports and select the winners. And then we will give you the certificates and we will give you the recommendation letters at that time, announce the winners. And then very shortly after, we will invite you to the symposium in Italy. So we already started inviting the students who participated last year, but then sometime in May, we will invite you guys. And so hopefully at least some of you will be able to come to that meeting. We will probably be able to provide some travel stipends to the members of the winning team. I hope that many of you are close to Europe and will be able to also afford it on your own if needed. As you imagine, our resources are very limited. And so the travel stipends basically will come from our own budget, which we, don't have much. So, but hopefully we'll be able to at least support the people who are, from the best teams. And that's basically it. So let me just show you very quickly the other one. It doesn't look much different. So it's basically the same. So that was the Venice Schools Internationals and InnoSpark. Where's my InnoSpark? That's right here. So it's a similar type of document. description of the company, links. We have the webinars, so Monday, March. So one will be at 9 a.m., so basically same time as this webinar, and the other one will be right after. Same thing, company description, the challenge, and they will do the same thing. So you will do market analysis first. So basically, who else makes toys? You compare the toys from InnoSpark to the competition, stuff like that. Select the best market where they should sell the product, or you think there is a demand, and then how would you market it? So again, what advertisement would you use? How would your ad look like? And then the same thing, same requirements, same length, same format, same deadlines, forming teams, meeting team members, team charter, block 1, individual ideas, block 1, block 2, block 3 as a team, draft, and final report. So exactly the same approach. And for the other guys, those who will be the older ones, those who are 17 and will be in the university track, it will be roughly the same idea, it's just different companies and slightly more complicated questions. So you will have to do a little bit more financial analysis, a little bit more strategic planning. So the expectations will be a little bit higher, but the idea, the format will be exactly the same deadlines, exactly the same tasks. It just, for example, for the younger kids, if they submit, let's say, a one-page marketing strategy, I'm happy with that. Even if it's not the most brilliant marketing strategy, it's still impressive. Kids of that age normally don't do those things. So even if it's only one page and some interesting ideas, that's great. But for the older kids, obviously, we'll expect a little bit more detail, a little bit more analysis, a little bit more substance, and perhaps even more sophisticated ideas. So hopefully that helps. And we'll go over that again and again many times in the weekly webinars. So if something's not clear, don't worry, we'll give you more information. Any other questions? So I've spoke to Ayalita, and I suppose that was her father, and Advey and Henrik said a few words.
Yes,
anyone else?
You answered totally all the questions ever.
Well, as I said, if there are no questions, hopefully that means that everything is clear, because it can also mean that nothing's clear. Yes.
Just one question.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes, Henrik.
Okay. About the school here in Austria, did you got my email with the email addresses of the students?
Did I miss something? I may have missed something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Henrik, will you be available? Will you be available for a quick phone call or Skype call right after this meeting? Can we connect about that? I have a feeling that I may have missed something. And if they would like to participate,
okay,
wonderful.
Yeah. Can we do it in half an hour?
Yes. I will be on the phone, on the computer all day. Just please Skype me whenever you have a minute and we'll discuss it. Those of you who don't know, by the way, Henrik Mertens, he's a German in Austria, and he's been probably the most active supporter of XCulture from the former participants. So he participated as a student, he participated as a coach, he participated as a head coach, he participates as a regional representative for this program. So he's been helping us so much. And so one of the things he's done, if I understand his comment correctly, so apparently there is a school from Germany or Austria that wants to participate. So yes, let's connect whenever you have a minute and discuss it. I have a feeling that I may have missed something, and if so, we'll definitely rectify that. We'll work on it. And so my apology if I missed something, we'll work on it. So. All right. So any other questions, comments? So
No, it's fine. Okay. I will call you in half an hour. Okay.
Yes. I'm going to stop the recording here. There is only one thing that I wanted to do. In fact, let's keep that on the recording, since it's one of those rare opportunities when all of us come together. Can you guys do very quick introductions so we know who you are? Just tell us your name, age, country you are in. I don't know. Perhaps maybe your hobby or something.
Oh, by the way, another question.
Yes.
You said 150 people subscribe. Now I see only about 8 people. How come? How come there are only 8 people here?
Oh, because first of all, we have 2 webinars. So many people signed up for the one tomorrow. And by the way, it was 150 who applied, but it's only about 60 something who are actually in the practical phase. As I said, some people just dropped out. So I don't know what happened. And some just were not good enough. Like literally, we asked quite a few people. So we had a meeting 2 days ago. We looked at the results, and we just felt that some are not not prepared enough. So they didn't do well on some tests, or perhaps skipped the test, and that tells us that they perhaps are not committed enough, or maybe they are not prepared enough or skilled enough, or maybe don't have English. So if you are here, that means that you're probably at this time about top 30, top 40% from those who applied, because only about, so it's out of 150 or so applicants, 65, I believe, have advanced to the next level. So you're like substantially better than average already. And then second, yes, I'm not sure why not everyone is here, but some will be participating tomorrow. And then also, I suppose maybe it's a weekend, maybe somebody's traveling, or could be all kinds of reasons. For the future webinars, by the way, that we will have, same thing. I would strongly encourage you to participate. But I've totally recognized that, the time may be wrong. Maybe it's like, for example, in China, Japan, by this time it's too late. And then East Coast, it may be still only like 6 a.m., so maybe too early. So it is fine if you miss some of those meetings, but we will have the recordings, so I hope you will watch them later. But yes, so I actually would have expected more too. So if we have about 65 people, it would have been more normal if we would have like 30 people in each of these meetings. So we only have like, 10, probably not even that. So, but yeah, well, I guess you are more motivated than others. So thank you for being here, and too bad for those who miss.
Hooray for everyone.
Yes. So let's do very quick introductions. I just would like to know a little bit more about you. Just tell us who you are, what country you're in, so that we know a little bit more about you. I don't know who wants to go first. Please, don't be shy.
Okay.
All right, Advay, go ahead, please.
My name is Advay Jain, and I am currently living in the UK. And and it's snowing outside, so my school's cancelled for a week or two.
Well, you'll have more time for Xculture then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice to meet you, Advay. Who's next?
Me.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I am Aelita. I'm from the Ukraine. I'm 10 years old. It's also snowing, so school is canceled, and I basically drowned in snow. And I have even more time for Xculture. Yay!
Yay. How old are you, Aelita, again?
10.
10. How come you speak so well? I mean, my daughter is 10, and sometimes she has difficult time, expressing herself. And you said like
It's all about her parent. She's started
very
from 2
impressive.
years old. She was
No,
two,
from one. From one.
one and
Wow.
10 months.
I work a lot with kids because I have kids, of my own, and normally children by the age of 10, they can speak, obviously, they can speak, but
Hello,
doing
I
such a good introduction so clearly, that's very impressive. You must have an IQ of like 150 at least, or something like that. I'm serious.
Thank you.
Well,
so
let's see how you will do. I don't know, maybe it's all about talking. Maybe when it comes to actually doing the work, you will have difficulties, but something's telling me you will be very, very successful in this project.
Yeah, that is close.
Thank you
Who's
so
next?
much.
Yes, thank you. Who's next? Jasmine, would you like to go next, Raj? Yes, go ahead, please. Unmute your microphone and tell us a little bit about yourself so we can meet you.
Mhm.
And I live in India. I'm 7 years old and I study in Air Force Balbharti School.
Very nice. Yeah, I think the microphone goes on and off.
I can't hear him.
He said he's in India, he is 10 years old, and he goes to school, and I missed the name of the school. Was that correct, right? Try again, Raj.
My name is Ujaswin Raj and I study in Air Force Balbharti School.
Air
I'm
Force
11 years
School. Oh. So you want to be a pilot? Like it's an Air Force base school, or it's a school that prepares pilots or I don't know, astronauts?
Anyone you can be. You can be anyone. I
Uh-huh.
want to be a forest officer.
Okay, cool. Very nice, very nice. Okay, that's cool. So nice. So I assume you don't have snow at this time where you are, right? So the weather is probably much warmer.
Yeah, we are in Delhi and we don't get snow here.
Right. Delhi. I know it's sometimes it gets really hot there. So yes, very
Yeah.
nice. Well, we have some variety of climates. Very nice. And so it must be like 9 p.m. in Delhi by now, right? So almost time for
Yeah.
bed. Yes, very nice. Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. Who's next?
Thank you.
If everybody's shy, Aelita's gonna say again.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Alita,
What?
yeah, you wanted to say something, right?
No, I didn't.
It was a joke.
Okay, all right. So we have
Never trust
Yaroslavna.
my dad if he says something about me because I totally have no idea what he's talking about.
Well, so we have Yaroslavna, we have Sviatoslav, we have Ilya, and we have Nasra. Based on the names, I guess some of these kids must be from Ukraine or Russia because I recognize some of the names. And Nasra, would you like to maybe talk a little bit about yourself? I'm not sure. Are you one of the older teenagers or are you one of the parents? For some
I
reason,
can't hear you.
yeah, for some reason we don't have your microphone sound, so could be that it's not the right microphone that is activated. So if that's the problem, you can go, like there is a button at the bottom of your screen that looks like a microphone and you can choose which microphone it takes the sound from. And it's possible that it's using the system microphone, not the headset. Yeah, for some reason, no sound, right?
Type, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just type in the chat maybe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's okay. Anyone else? Yevgeny, Yaroslavna, Sviatoslav, Ilya? Anyone? Don't be shy, because we have only 4 minutes left. Okay, go ahead, Ilya, please.
I'm Ilya Hladun from Ukraine.
Yay. What city are you from?
From Ukraine, Rivne.
Rivne, yeah, that's where I was born. Yes. Yeah, what school do you go to?
Tuga Harmonia.
Harmonia, okay, right, yeah. I graduated from school number 9. So, yay. Okay, that's very close. I never met Ilya, but he's growing up where I grew up. So, yeah, I lived there at 16. Very nice to meet you, yes. And I know the principal of your school very well. So, he was a classmate with my wife. So, they studied together and then they still stay in touch. So, I know him very well. So, yes. Okay, very nice to meet you.
I understand. I asked him about this.
Yes. Okay. Well, please do so well in this project. We want to, make our city proud. So, no pressure, but please do your best. So let.
Will do.
Yeah.
I'll make our city proud too. I'm from
Yes.
Ukraine too.
Yeah. I guess it will be hard to compete with London and Delhi because those kids seem smart. But let's make Rivne look good too.
Yes.
All right. Anyone else? I don't want to pressure you guys. So I'm not sure if you have microphones. Nasra, would you like to try again? Maybe we have the sound now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, I'm Nasra Mohammed. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Kenya.
Kenya. So you're one of the professionals, right? So you're in the professional track. Yes.
Yes.
So Nasra, as I said, we have some older participants. So Nasra, if I remember correctly, you will be with the university students. So your team will be primarily professionals like you, but I think we will also put a few MBA students from some of the best universities. So I'm sure you will handle that perfectly well and you've had enough training. So no pressure, but they will be demanding. I have no doubt that you do very well with them. And so you will have probably a few professionals like yourself, people in the 20s, 30s, and then probably a couple of MBA students on your team as well.
Okay.
So where are you? Tell us a little bit more.
I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Nice.
It's actually raining so hard.
Yeah, I imagine. Nairobi, Kenya, this is very nice. So yes.
Nice.
Probably no snow.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. So it seems to me that somebody's sharing the screen, but I guess, yeah, so probably by mistake. All right, so anyone else? Very nice to meet you, Nasra. So as I said, you will be in a more challenging track, but I'm sure you're more than prepared for that, and I hope you will like it. All right, well, so let's stop here.